Hello, people. We are back. A2TP podcast, episode 104.
Woo woo! You know what that means?
What?
It's the 2-year anniversary.
104?
52.
Oh,
2
yeah.
years.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that. That came from the side. That came out the left field.
Yeah, it's the anniversary. 2 years. 2 up top, Daddy.
That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
So proud
Hey, man,
of you.
you just show up and you keep doing it. You show up and you keep doing it. God see you put the work in, that good things will happen. So
Yes.
just show up and keep doing it. But this is A2TP podcast, episode 104, Boy International Walk.
It's your girl Tosh, the co-hostess with the most.
And every fucking week I tell y'all what
Where to find us.
What platforms to find us. But wherever you get podcasts, except for Apple, you can find us on any of those on any of those platforms. And we have a website, A2TPodcast.com, but also Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Radio Public, TikTok, Breaker, and Spotify.
That is good.
How we doing?
I'm doing good.
Okay. You need your glasses? You squinting a little bit.
No, I'm not squinting. I was smiling.
Oh.
My face fat making my eyes look squinty.
No, you got a little something.
Thank you. You like me to take care of me.
Yeah, you all right. How you doing? Oh my God, it's hot in this motherfucker.
It ain't that hot, y'all.
It's a little warm, and I'm sitting next to her. She giving me fucking googly eyes.
Because he just changed his clothes. He was looking like, not like a snack, like a meal about to get eaten. Like, you was looking scrumptious.
She bought it for me.
He was looking good.
I'll wait till we go out on your birthday or something, put them things on.
Maybe we should join the Mile High Club.
Put them things on.
But I'm feeling
things on.
I'm feeling good. Mentally, I ain't gonna lie, y'all. Mentally, I'm like a 7.5, but nothing. It's primarily from work.
No, we're not doing that. We got a work category.
Okay, but but I'm starting at mentally.
Okay, so mentally, you let work get you to a 7.5. We're gonna have to take it back a couple episodes, to like episode 24 where we learn this stuff
about bandwidth and all. You know what? I will say this: when I'm off, I'm good. Like I am happy that I have the ability to compartmentalize, and when I turn it off, I turn it off. So. You're right. I will say, actually, mentally, I'm probably feeling like a 9. I'm feeling really good mentally outside of work. Financially, a 10. No complaints there. It's a new year. We've had some great conversations about, furthering our, money management and doing things, and just, those are conversations you need to revisit. Everything was all good. Want to make sure they're good. See what we can, fix around and change, and it's all good. So finances is a 10.
And not to cut you off, but that's how you make it work. You got to be open to your spouse's ideas and other stuff. You get blinders on sometime, and another set of eyes, another person with some inquiry about something. And she do let me do my head shit, but she's a part of this team too. So she also has a say-so on how we maneuver and operate. And I
will say this.
Some women out there don't do that though.
But what works for y'all may work for y'all. When it comes to finances, it is a mutual conversation. A lot of responsibility on him, but it's a mutual conversation, and we feel that that's necessary, because I could be thinking, I got plans for us to do X, Y, Z in life. He got other plans, and we got to compromise. We always talk about communicate. I think when we talk about relationships, to me, it's the C's that are important: communication, compromise, and companionship. Like, those things are really, really,
I thought you was going to say compassion, but that's a good one too, companionship.
Yeah, companionship is just always really important, like, to be friends, to be each other's companion. But compromise is huge. Compromise is just as big as communication. I was just recently talking to, y'all know my best friend Toya, she's my sister too. And her daughter, we were just talking about, her daughter just recently bought a home, young, beautiful, doing her thing. And just, it's funny when you have older people in your life, and now
as opposed to being old and ugly, your daughter, I think.
No, I'm not saying that like that. Everybody's young and beautiful.
I'm just saying she put the caveat on it as the opposite was old and ugly and still doing the thing.
No, I'm just saying those are Anyway, we are the old heads, like, for my niece, she's doing her thing, she's in her 20s, and just talking about the tools that your old head should give you, and effective communication in relationship, compromising in relationships. So I just think that's pretty big. But I digress. Let's get back to work.
We didn't even get to the we got the finances, but we get to work.
Work is, excuse my language, y'all know that I don't curse often on here. Work is a shit show. Like, literally, like, But you know what? I'm going to say, initially I was going to say it was a 7. But I'm going to say it's an 8. Things are going, and I'm doing my thing. It's a lot. It's chaotic.
So
but
you can name 8 things that's wrong, or 10 things that's wrong with work right now, right?
10 things?
Like, if you just had to ramble off the top of your head, what's wrong with work? You can go 10 deep right now.
I can go 5 deep.
5 deep right now. So give me 3 things that's good about work.
I have a great boss.
Okay.
I am an effective leader with a team that respects me.
To talk your shit.
And I get paid very well.
There you go. There you go. So you just got to find a silver lining in it. Yeah, it's stressful sometimes, and I know you be doing your thing, but you make great money, you do a great job, and people like you. And
I don't really care about them liking me, respect me.
No, when I say you're in the relationship with your boss, like people like you, people trust you is what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Like they know you do your job. Like people can walk away from you and no shit gonna get done.
And that's
the
important.
best kind of people to have around.
It's important, and everybody
I was telling my guys that at work, like, because they was asking about this big job and something that we might get, and it was like, I don't want people unless I can walk away from them and know shit gonna get done. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, my day is all fucked up.
I realized in the professional world, and I think it may be helpful, maybe in the future we have an episode about that, just the dichotomy of your work zone versus mine, corporate America versus blue collar. But people like for people to respect them at work and want to trust them, and they go about it in different ways. I'm going to tell you this. I have never been a brown noser, ass kisser. I just want to do my job and do it well. And for me, it's proven that my name speaks for itself. Like, I don't have to, push my way into certain places. I'm just going to do my job and show you that I know what I'm doing. And you're going to want to come to me. I'm not going to have to, be doing that double Dutch thing. And it works for me. I appreciate the opportunities that I have had as a Black woman in corporate America, who I work with a variety of people from all, age ranges and men, women, whatever. But I appreciate it. Physically, I am an 8. Just been making some changes within myself, and I feel good. So that was a very long time for me to talk, but I will say, just to recap, I'm a 9, 10, 8, 8.
We got that? 9, 10, 8, 8. All right.
You like me to talk? How are you?
We want to get through the mental part, though. I mean, the mentally, right now, I probably went down a point or 2. It's like,
really?
No. I feel good. I feel like an 8+, like an 8.5.
Okay.
Mentally. Now it might change hour to hour because as everybody, all you out there know, I talk about my Nana all the time, and she's super heavy on my heart. She has been for weeks. But right now, I feel good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Keep my baby in prayer, y'all.
Finances, 9 across the board. Work, I would say a 9. It's good to be back at work, see my guys, miss them. So that's all good. Physically, my shoulder is better. I feel good. There was a little twang in it this morning, but it doesn't hurt now. Wows and wolves.
So you 9s across the board.
Yep, Niners. Nueve.
Wows, I say just, being blessed to make it to another year. Sometimes you kind of get lost in the hoopla, because it's like, okay, it's another year, but it's another month, another week, another day. And watching the New Year's celebration, like one of the hosts was saying, like, it's kind of like an overdone thing. Mm-hmm. But when you really think about the gist of it, it is like a new cycle starting. And, if I could put one word on last year, it would be chaotic. So I am looking forward to a fresh start. I'm looking forward to a fresh start. And that's my wow. Just being blessed to see a new year, and spend it again with you.
Yep.
My woe is we encounter some challenges and I guess it's a silver lining in that too. Just I
Silver
hate
lining and everything.
Yeah, I just hate beefing with you. We had some beef going into the new year, but I was happy that we went into it on a better note. So, leading up to it, didn't know if one of us was gonna make it across, but
Hey man, shit happens, but that I don't know everything. I don't pretend to know everything, but what I do know, and what I do know is us, and I call in the big guns in a heartbeat.
This was my woe moment, though.
Oh, you done?
My woe was just.
I'm just saying,
I
call the big guns in a heartbeat.
That we saw the rainbow.
Yes, give me 2 up top. My wow is just being back to work. Like I said, I miss my fellas. It's been good hanging out with them all week. So yeah, that's good being back to work, moving around. I needed those 10, 11 days off. Mm-hmm. My woe is just being back to work. The grind starts again. So, it is what it is. I got 3 jobs going on right now. So 2 in the same building and 1 in another building. So, I got my hands full, but work is work. But that's my wow and my woe. All good?
I'm good.
Okay.
So wait, if you could put a word on last year, what would it be?
If I could put a word on last year, I would put disruptive. Yeah. Disruptive.
Wow. Yes. That yeah. I'm still in it. That was
going into this year. It's 2023. It's a brand new year. It's a brand new sheet of paper you can fold over. Everybody's writing their own books, filming their own movie. What are you looking forward to in 2023?
And okay, so in following...
Actually, she has a birthday coming up in 2023, so that's not far away. I know that you always look forward to your birthday.
That's my holiday.
And that comes along with the new year. But, other than your birthday, what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to a year of Tasha. And I say that not selfishly, but meaningfully. Like, I want to be so intentional. I know there's been so many words thrown around, throughout the
therapy rhetoric.
Yeah, and it feels like through COVID, because so many people started spending not only that, so many people started spending so much more time on the phones. It's like social media was gradually building, and COVID was like, mm-hmm. But through that, there's been a lot of words thrown around. My word for 2023 is intentionality. I just want to be very intentional. So I'm looking forward to a year of me, celebrating me, taking care of me, just allowing me to
be at peace,
be
happy.
not peace always, but just to kind of find myself. Not that I feel like I'm lost. No, this is the word, to rediscover myself. I feel like there's been so much that has happened in the last years of our life, and it has been going good. Not all bad, like a lot, way more good than bad. But in that going, I feel tired. And I want to slow down, do the things I need to do, and just be very intentional about everything I do, places I go, people I spend time with, things that I say. If I don't want to say anything, I just want to be very intentional and just rediscover myself. Not that I don't feel like I'm lost. I don't feel like I'm not happy. I don't feel like I'm missing anything. There are some voids in my life that I need to find places or not places, need to find ways to have them fill. And I may already have what I need. I just need to allow those things to spill over into those gaps. But for me, that's what I'm looking forward to, rediscovering myself. And I feel like I'm always like, or not on edge, but like shoulders tight a little bit.
Yeah, you
like
that's where I feel like
you
don't necessarily know how to compartmentalize when it comes to that, is what I feel. I'm a person who's been around you 20 years outside looking in, mm-hmm. and kind of inside looking in.
You be inside of me looking in?
You don't, of course, I was inside you last night. You don't, it's, you don't compartmentalize things like that. It's like you worry until it makes you fucking it throws you off. And it's like you don't necessarily always have to do that. And life will make you slow down. So we had a lot happen in 2020, a lot happened in 2021, a lot happened in 2022.
Right.
And she's right, more good than bad, but there's also some bad in there.
The wheels have been going.
You gotta be able to lean into what you, and this is, easier said than done, but lean into the things that drive you crazy, but know how to like separate yourself from that and still be worried about your inner peace. Like, if I go too far down this rabbit hole, then my peace will be screwed up. And always have that in mind, like celebrating you, caring about your peace, like you said, saying what you want to say, not saying what you want to say, being intentional with your time, being intentional being a wife, like all that stuff just slows you down. And what you've been through this year in life will slow you down because it makes you grow and say, oh, damn, like I gotta rethink this, I gotta rethink that. And it makes you take things in. When life, what I've learned in my 40s, life, it's like guys playing basketball. When they come into the league, everything is fast. Like everything is fast. You can't maneuver. Once the game slows down and you can see what's about to happen, kinda like you can kind of anticipate shit, life slows down for you and you see shit differently. You see shit better. You think about weird shit. You think about death. You think about all kinds of shit.
Yeah. One of the things
stuff that you wasn't thinking about in your 30s and 20s.
One of the things I thought about, like he, kind of alluded to things happening to me and, just being a little transparent without telling all my business because it ain't something that I really want to talk about.
Because that's a business.
Because that's my business. But, just being hurt in life by people, by things that happen. And this has, I mean, we probably would have talked about it if it was about us, but it ain't about us. So whatever. But just when you go through dark, like people can be happy and just keep going and things, all good things are happening to you. Blessings are flowing, it's rainbows and butterflies. But when you are hurt by something, whether it's through betrayal, whether it's through death and you're dealing with grief, of course, if you're physically hurt, a traumatic situation, it should cause you, and it probably causes everybody, but everybody may not be aware, to kind of recalibrate.
Yeah, it slowly makes you sit down. It makes you stop and think and deal with what you're dealing with. It makes you sit with your emotions.
I feel like that's what I have had to do because it's kind of like everything you thought you knew and the machine was going and the machine, it was just steady going and it's like a kink. You got to recalibrate them. So maybe it can't go like this anymore. Maybe it got to go like this. Whatever the change needs to happen, you have to recalibrate.
And it's something that happened in your machine. So you don't think your machine it won't break. Yeah. You don't think your machine won't need some maintenance. You don't think your machine's going to keep going like it was.
So let me ask you this. You kind of alluded to this, but I'm going to be specific. Is there something about yourself that you've learned like later in years that you don't like and like you want to focus on changing?
Things about myself that I don't like. Damn, I love me.
Well, of course.
No, I'm serious. I do love me. I like who I am sitting here. Things that I don't like about myself. I don't like that. I'll go outside every day wanting to be positive and wanting to be a good man, a good person, doing my best to be a good husband. But I also know there's a dark side to me. And I don't necessarily always like what I think. I don't necessarily always, like what I feel. So, just...
Like, you be thinking about, like, killing somebody?
Well, I don't know if I go that far, but I just don't like the things I think sometimes. I just don't like the way I feel sometimes about certain things, about certain people. So, yeah, I realize that how no matter how positive and peaceful I may be, and I'm really at peace, I'm really happy in my life, but I also know there's a darker side to me that is just there. And I'm much more manageable of it now than I was in the past. I'm much more aware of him now than I was in the past, but, it still exists.
So the thing that I've been realizing about myself, and I think we meaning you, my sisters, like those who know me have always known this, but I feel like it is intensifying as I get older. I'm growing a little bit of paranoia, and I don't like it. I absolutely don't like
See,
it.
and it's crazy because these are things that I always thought about you.
Well, and that's what I said. It's always been known,
Yeah,
but
it's
I
like
feel
you,
like it is.
but it's weird to
it's
hear you
amplified.
say these things about you, and it's it's like a revelation to you.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like, oh, like, yeah, I always thought that she can be paranoid sometimes. She can be impulsive about shit. Like, she can be not like, she can't compartmentalize. Her shit just runs together. Although at times she can be articulate with her thoughts in her head. And so, I didn't learn this in therapy, but I read this somewhere. People live how their head is. And you can look in, like, we don't have a dirty house or anything. I'm not saying you're dirty, but your areas, your closet, where you be at the most is like, you know, it's a little, you can tell she been there. Yeah. It's not dirty, but you can just tell she been there.
Because part of that is your fault.
But I'm just saying the way she keeps things. Now, I don't have all the shelving I need in my closet, but it's all in how you keep the spaces that you go to. And her bathroom, her closet, like, those are areas that I can look and be like, she was like definitely here.
Part of that, though, is the lack of organization, an organizational tool. So we've been in our house.
Off the schedule.
I know we've been in our house almost a year, but we still require some things. We kind of slow down. So those tools. But this is going back to paranoia. There's something about myself that I have. Again, I've always known it, but I feel like it's amplifying, and I do not like it, and I have to get a grip on it. So that's why I just wanted to know, was there anything about yourself that anything specific, like?
That was a really good talk. We've never spent like that much time in the beginning of the show, but that was cool. I enjoyed the conversation. You had some good questions.
Yeah, because the word thing was something that stood out to me. So what's your word for this year?
Substance. I just want to keep growing, keep doing. I'm looking forward to traveling. I'm looking forward to new things with the podcast. Like, it's another year of that. Like, just trying new things. Like, I want to challenge myself to, meet some new people, get new information. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to doing all that stuff and challenging myself. And what was my word?
Substance.
Having substance in a year.
That's good. Okay.
Just as like a bad segue, but NFL injuries. Darryl Stingley was paralyzed. Kevin Everett was paralyzed. Joe Theismann had a compound fracture that popped out of his leg. Ryan Shazier was paralyzed with a broken neck. He's walking again, though. Michael Irvin had a broken neck. Ryan Clark lost a piece of his kidney, his spleen, one lung, and a lobe of his liver. Deion Sanders lost 2 toes. Ronnie Lott cut his own finger off in a football game. So football requires a lot from the people who play it. It's a barbaric sport. If you had a couple sons who had a dream of playing football, could they play?
No, I wouldn't. And I've thought about this before. I would not allow my son to play contact football at a young age. I do think now, when kids get...
Well, you can't play at a young age. You only can play when you're 12 and up. So you can't play when you're 5 years old, 6 years old. They've been stopped that. So you can play when you're 12 years old and up. You can play tackle football because they think that you're big enough in weight to be hitting each other. So anything under that is flag football. So at 12 or 13, your kid's in the 9th grade going to high school, or in middle school at the tail end of middle school. You don't think he's big enough to take hits in football from people his size.
Right. So I don't know if that's absolutely true, because there are we have some family members who kids play football, but I would, okay. But even to your point, even if they were 12 and up, now see, it's weird that you say that, because in that respect, you figure by that age, you either know if kids got it or don't. Mm-hmm. And my thing is, if you don't know for sure that your kid got it, like got it, really got it, and there could potentially be some that could lead to their future, why allow that kind of trauma and potential injury just for fun?
For the sake of the conversation, your kid's a 5-star athlete, has been since he was 5. Anytime he touched the ball, everybody always talked about him. He's the fastest. This kid's going to go one day. He's 13 now. He wants to play football. He has been since he was 5, up and down the street. Everything lines up for him to live out his dream. Do you let him do
it? If I
and like he can take the hits. He can play football. You've seen him play, and he's good.
If I could have some say so in like the protective gear that he has, then I'm
like, what you put on football uniform with shoulder pads and
okay. Can I buy him the best? Like, do we know? Well, I think I've heard from shows that you watch. There are certain kinds of helmets that may not be standard issue, but that are proven to protect from those cerebral injuries.
Right.
So
I would agree with that.
If I had some say so, and it's like, okay, this is the standard issue one, but if I pay this extra $500, he could get this. I can buy him this helmet, and if I could, take those preventive measures, then that may be some sort of incentive to allow him to, if I know that he's passionate about it. But to your point, I think a lot of times people steer their kids in one direction or another. And this goes for guys and girls. Like, little boys, they like, oh, you want to play football or basketball. And then for girls, oh, you want to go to dance school or cheerleading. But they may truly not be interested in that. It's just, parents, the typical things. Like, people have gender reveals and they say tutus or touchdowns. Right. That's like that stigma that's applied to having a daughter or having a son.
I agree with that. I acknowledge that. But I mean, if I had a son who was, of age and could play football, and like you like we knew, like, okay, shit, he's fat, he's special. Like, I would want to support his dream. Like, I could only imagine being so passionate about something at 13 and your parents telling you, no, you can't do it. Like, do something else.
Well, that's the thing,
it's like
too.
they're doing it out of protection to help you so that you don't end up, with something broke on your body or missing a piece of liver or a lung. But it's like suppressing your dream, your passion, and everything that you care about. Like, when you got this son or 2 sons who care about this sport and that's all they want to do.
Why 2?
Well, if you have twins or something.
Oh, I'm like, why?
If you just have a couple of boys who just like football, and it's like, damn, that's out for y'all because you could get hurt. And rightfully so, you care about them, you're their parent, but they really, really like football.
But my thing is this, if that's to allow your kids to play from the age of 5, 6 years old, and then at 12, 13 stop them, that's counterproductive as a parent. You're like setting yourself up to disappoint your kids. Like, don't even introduce them to that. Start them off playing baseball, soccer, lacrosse, join the swimming team or something. If that's going to be like, okay, you'll play as a kid, but when it starts to get really good, you can't play anymore. Like, why even I feel like, going along with your question, okay, we know they're an awesome player. I would want to take preventive measures, but to be completely honest, at 5, 6, I wouldn't even want to start them.
Right.
Now, and again, you have sometimes, those little husky little boys, they're like, oh, he's going to be a linebacker. Or maybe the tall, lanky little boys like, oh, he make a great receiver. Or he's going to be the quarterback. But there's so many other options. And I think,
unfortunately... What if he play defense? Would you, because that matters? Because he'll be doing the hitting.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't want him to go down that lane at all.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think, unfortunately...
I would disagree. I think we would have to have a conversation about that.
Like, you would start him at like 5, 6 years old?
Not playing tackle football, but he can play Nerf football. He can play football. But I'm saying you can't, like, get... And if you do play tackle, if you do play in a peewee league, then you 58 pounds, then you can play football with other 58-pound kids. That's how I would see it. I'm not letting you play in no escalated league where you playing against 75-pounders because that 25 pounds means something.
But what difference does it make? Even if you're 58 pounds and you're a kid and y'all playing tackle football, another 58-pound kid tackle you and you fall and hit your head. How many times do you think a kid can do that, over the course?
That's a part of the sport. And it's, in 2010, there were 6.85 million kids across the world playing football. So a lot of people play American football. In 2021, it's only 5.23 million because of parents being scared to let their kids play football.
Yeah.
And something we didn't talk about is Junior Seau, Dave Duerson, Javon Belcher, Mike Webster, Aaron Hernandez, Andre Waters, all killed themselves because of CTE, which is another side effect to football. The car collisions. They say at a minimum, when they run down the field for a kickoff, they're running at 22 miles per hour and running into each other.
Well,
that's like a mini car collision. But again, that's a part of the sport. You're talking about two guys the same size playing football. That's a part of it. It's not like, injuries happen. They can happen on every play, but that's a part of it. We watch games all the time, or I do, and I don't see nobody getting hurt.
But
So it can happen at any play, but I watch enough football to see. I've seen tens of thousands of football plays, but a few injuries.
But you saying you don't see anybody getting hurt, which is what is the scary part about CTE, because you don't see it. It doesn't mean that their brain isn't getting hurt.
Well, you do see concussions sometimes.
Well, but I'm saying not everybody who has CTE has had a visible concussion. But it doesn't mean that in the end, or maybe
I would disagree with that. I think everybody that has CTE in their
I'm saying we may not know. That's you say you haven't seen it,
right?
So everybody ain't always pulled to the sideline, so
right.
You may not always be aware. The viewers may not always be aware. So you might think, oh, we went this whole game, this whole Sunday with all 16 games?
17 games.
With all 17 games, and nobody had a concussion. That doesn't necessarily mean it's true. Just because somebody may not have been sidelined doesn't mean that they didn't.
Right.
But
and I've
to
seen
your
some
point,
violent concussions where guys shouldn't be playing at all. The quarterback for Miami 3 weeks ago had a concussion where he was clutching his fists on the field, and he played the next week. That kind of shit is a red flag for the guys to get CT.
But going back to the kids at 58 pounds. You got two 300-pound men colliding. You got two 58-pound kids colliding. It's still a collision. It's still trauma, them falling, hitting their head. They do that 2-3 times a season, getting sacked or tackled or whatever it's called. That's not normal head trauma that a kid who doesn't play football is experiencing.
No, I'm not saying it is, but are we sitting here saying you shouldn't play football at all? So I understand all that stuff can happen, and it's still a mini car collision for two 58-pound kids. But I'd rather it be that and you get used to the hitting than to put you in football at 15 where you ain't been used to it, is all I'm saying. If you're going to play, you're going to play. And you have to go in thinking that you could get hurt. Now, you don't have to think you have to have it in your mind you could get hurt in a serious way. But you can get hurt. You can break your fucking wrist. You can break your arm. You can get knocked out. It's a combat sport. But if you accept all those risks, like I said, there's thousands of players that have played football since its inception, and there's been a few hundred people who've been injured in a bad way. Bones popped out and
what about the players that
shit like that
have CTE that aren't on your list that we know they have? We've seen some interviews, and I'm not gonna fake like I know people's names because I can't remember.
I probably read their names,
but they have they haven't had injuries to that point of being paralyzed or bones breaking, and maybe they haven't committed suicide. But we can see okay, he has the shakes, or his speech is slurred, where you realize wow, he may have never had a documented injury, but he ain't right. So that, again, having a choice, I would not choose for my kids.
Lots of Hall of Famers who are like that, who are on canes and walkers, and you're talking about guys in their 50s. Football takes a toll on the body. But to say it still should be played, right? It's football.
It should be people's choice if they want to. I just wouldn't allow my kids to do it.
I would want my son to play football if he wanted to play football. If he didn't want it, then I don't want you to play. But if that's your dream, and that's what you're passionate about, then I don't want to break your passion.
But what I'm saying, I wouldn't allow them to start at 5-6 years old. So at 12, he don't know that that's his dream. You ain't never been on the damn football field.
Why wouldn't you let him play flag football at 5? Why wouldn't you let him play with a Nerf ball at 5? What's wrong with that?
I'm not saying right, a Nerf ball or something like that, or playing with his dad is one thing, but
But if he
playing
played in a flag
organized
league
sports.
and a flag league, he couldn't play with other 5-year-olds. They don't know what the fuck they're doing out there running
Because
around.
then that nurtures that yearning of, oh, I want to tackle. And then when you get to 12, you got to say, nah, 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 never.
That's why you never played sports, because you ain't had no nurturing when you was small. And when you got to 12, you was like, I don't know nothing about none of this shit, so I don't want to do it.
I didn't know anything.
Like, let's go play the piano or some shit like that.
And I wish I still played the piano.
No, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm just saying you're trying to take sports out the kid.
I'm not trying to take sports. I said football.
Okay, so he can play baseball at 5?
He can play baseball, basketball, soccer. He can join the swim team. He can play tennis.
So what if he gets up there?
He can play polo.
What if you go to his game and he go to baseball? He gets up there, the bat and the pitcher hits him in the side of the head. He falls down and gets a concussion.
Okay, but that's less likely than him a physical contact throughout the whole game. That's different.
Mm-hmm. He could play basketball, go up for a rebound, come down. His kneecap could go that way.
He did it to himself. Nobody didn't knock him down.
He's still hurt.
He don't have a head injury. I'd rather your knee be broken than your head be broken.
I agree with the head injury. But I'm just saying all the other stuff comes with football. Everybody know what happened to Damar Hamlin. He was 24 years old and went into cardiac arrest. What?
Did he pass?
No.
Okay, you said he was.
No, he's 24 years old. I'm sorry, she's right. I spoke about that in the past tense. Damar Hamlin is in Cincinnati Medical Hospital. And he was 24. He is 24 years old, and he had cardiac arrest on the field. I've been watching football my whole life, and I've never seen, and I've seen an ambulance on the field before, but I've never seen anybody get revived with CPR. Like, that shit is like, and I've seen hard hits where guys have been knocked out. I've seen where Darryl Stingley was paralyzed by Jack Tatum. Like, I've seen guys hit hard and I've seen Deshaun Jackson almost die in a football game from getting hit and was on the field for like 5 minutes. But I've never seen anybody like need CPR. Yes, need to be like they chest pumped on. Like, that shit is crazy, and it lets you know how much of a barbaric sport that these guys play. And, just condolences to his family. I'm praying for him. I hope as a 24-year-old, even if he was 50, I hope he wakes up and it's okay. Like, you go out like that, oxygen's not to your brain. You could wake up not the same, and he got his whole life ahead of him, like his whole life ahead of him. So, shouts out to his family, and I hope he just gets better.
Yeah, definitely prayers for his family. That's such a scary thing, and I'm sure for the other players, because like you said, neck injuries, bones breaking, not to say it's good, but it's kind of like, the chances. But to think like I might get hit and go into cardiac arrest.
Yeah. I at least broke it down on the radio. Like, it's as a player, you kind of know that because you played football your whole life. You've seen a guy he broke a leg or he broke an arm, or you might have seen this guy run around and he dizzy. So you've seen that stuff firsthand. He's even said that he seemed like a bone pop out of leg. That kind of shit you kind of sign up for. But when you need CPR and they're beating on your chest, how do you want to play that game again?
Right.
Like, how do you want to get back out there and do the thing it did to him?
Yeah.
It's just crazy. Damar Hamlin had a toy drive that had $2,500 in it the day he got hurt, and in 24 hours it had $4 million.
Yeah, I did read that his organization. He's actually from McKees Rock, Pennsylvania, which is out there near Pittsburgh. So it was great that it just goes to show. I know there's so many people that have charities, but it's just great to see him being a young man and him trying to do something to help. People, not just people, but children. And it's a shame that people rally behind things in the face
that was going to be one of the grams, because it wasn't a lot of shit happening. But let's talk about that. Why does something like that have to happen? He's a young, successful 24-year-old football player trying to do a toy drive, and he got $2,500 in it. He fucking almost dies, and $4 million go in it. What's the thinking behind that?
Well, the thing is this too, right? You're a football fan, right? Before Sunday's game happened, before Sunday's tragedy happened, were you completely familiar with the name DeMar Hamlin?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's 52 players on a roster. You know,
I knew who he was.
Okay, not everybody probably does.
Mm-hmm.
So now that you people become familiar with his name, you have more attention there, and people see it and want to help. Not to say that's the only reason why, but then people kind of feel like that obligation, like, oh, let me do something nice because I feel bad for this guy. So I think it's a little bit of both. It's what, I see somebody, well, to tie into that.
But it's like, I feel bad, so let me support.
Yeah,
but this guy's doing a good thing, so let me support.
Well, because some people may not have known. I've never heard his name before.
Okay,
like, before, I've never heard that name.
But it just feels weird that that's the thing you do in that moment, because at that night, and this happened in 24 hours. That night, everybody thought he might pass that night.
But it could go both ways, right? Like, even if it's something good that happened, I'll never forget when Giannis, what was the basketball player?
Giannis A2TP.
Okay, so when he, I think he won. Did he win a championship?
Yes.
Okay, and I saw what he did on his Instagram page. His girlfriend has like a lip gloss, or maybe it's still his girlfriend, but some type of cosmetic thing. He put the link in his bio. Why? Because he knows now. Not that people don't already know his name, but he knows now it's going to be all this attention flooding there. And now this is the way to help promote her business, because some people may have already known, but people who maybe have never looked at his page, like me, like I knew of him, but I didn't care to look at his page. And then word of mouth starts talking and people flood there. Another thing I did.
That's something you have to put out, though, because if you just go to Instagram and put that in your bio, who fucking knows that? So I get it and it's cool, but if you're thinking along those lines, just do a video. Like, yo, this is my girl, she got this line, and show the line and do like a little 30-second video and promote it that way.
I mean, you could, but people just go into your page and they see it just out of curiosity. They're going to be nosy and want to click on it.
Yeah, you're right. Because if the link in your bio goes to a point where they can buy it, then that matters. Oh, yeah,
it went to her website.
Not just looking at it. Like, you can go to the website and actually buy it.
Exactly, and that's what he did. And I did read something a while ago where, like, somebody had died. Don't remember who it was. And their followers, like, spiked. And it was kind of asked, like, why when people die, do people then decide they want to...
Somebody, that's everybody. Well, all the rappers who died, they
that's who it was. It was Takeoff.
Okay.
And somebody was, and maybe it was Duval, I don't know, but it was like, what is it about Duval. People that now, because one, and I'm not saying this to be facetious in any kind of way. Again. And now in some cases, family members or somebody might take over that account and like post stuff in their memory or something, but
they're never going to
post anything. You're never going to see them in any new footage, pictures or videos or anything. So what is the reasoning behind that? But it may be tied into, it's like a bad car accident. Everybody want to see. Everybody want to go there and like be kept up to date on something traumatic. In this case, hopefully he recovers and does well.
There's a certain thinking that's behind that I can't quite put my finger on.
Either.
It's like, why do people want to engage and support when you die or something bad happens to you? Like that kid could have died that night. DMX dies and they buy his album. Like a Pop Smoke dies and he goes platinum. It's like, what the fuck are y'all thinking, right? A Takeoff dies and he gets 1 million followers overnight. Yeah. Like everybody running the marathon.
And it's crazy.
Everybody playing his music. He running around everywhere trying to give his music and sell his music and getting a few supporters. He takes a bullet. And Tupac, the same thing. It's like, motherfucker died, sell 5 million of his records. Like,
I remember listening to Nipsey Hussle not long before he was killed, but I seen him in an interview which intrigued me, and I started listening to his album, and it was good. But it really wasn't on the radar for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And then he got killed and it was like everywhere. And I'm like, okay, I know these songs because I had been listening to it, but it's very weird, and I don't know what the psychology behind that is. I'm sure we can find out, but it's very weird that people, it's like they want to jump on. Maybe that's the bandwagon, regardless of where the bandwagon is going. People just want to jump on the bandwagon.
But it's not even that, because jumping on the bandwagon is like, okay, now all of a sudden you think you like the music, or you like the merch, or you like the movies, or you like the TV show, but you could have probably found somewhere in your life where you said you hated that shit, or you didn't watch it.
If
or you
people
didn't
talk
like
negatively about it, people will probably jump on that bandwagon too. I don't know.
Damn, like, why all of a sudden? I mean, you got a toy drive for fucking kids. Now, you know, you got Instagram and all that. I don't know how many followers he has, but $2,500 to $4 million in 24 hours because I almost died.
That's crazy.
It's insane, and I don't know what that is, but it's something. What have you learned?
You know, one thing, we kind of already were in a little bit of a dark place. One of the things that I learned is that, with all the tragedies that are happening in the world, sometimes we lose focus on how it impacts our children, like the younger children, and they may not always voice it, outwardly to say, this is how I feel, or this is what I'm thinking. They may not always show emotion. But I've learned, or I guess it was really brought close to me, like right in front of my face, that kids are impacted in ways that we have no idea about
they're
things.
Little fucking sponges.
And it's so important to talk to them, engage. One of the things that, and this isn't like new, but I'm going to continue, that I've been intentional with the kids in our life, our nieces and nephews, is really talking to them about their feelings and emotions. And I even told my niece, one of them, like, when I was a kid, adults didn't ask kids, how do you feel about this? What are you thinking? Anything bother you? Anything you want to talk about? Like, adults just didn't have those conversations.
And it was on the tail end of that speak when you're spoken to shit.
Yeah, and I have been like, and I'm going to be even more intentional about it, just asking them, how are you feeling today? Mm-hmm. Anything on your mind? Because kids will like shock your world about the things that go on in their minds. So, I kind of piggybacked off of some of your lessons that you've learned. I know I'll really be schooling y'all on some good educational stuff, but I'll get back to that.
It's crazy how you can, and this is like interpersonal conversations we have that I'm not going to get in depth to, but it's weird how you sometimes can see a person living a purpose and them not even knowing it. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to just leave it there. 3 grams. One of them was the Damar Hamlin toy drive thing.
But what did you learn?
Oh, I learned some ratchet shit. A treesh.
Oh, God.
What a treesh is? You young folk out there, what that is? I don't know. A tree, I looked this up in Urban Dictionary. A treesh is often used to identify a hoe. I did not. That's the definition.
Wait, so how do you spell it?
Treesh.
So like a girl's name, like a treesh.
Yeah, like you can use it in a sentence like, Treesh done sucked me up. She only was good for the spits.
Ew, I don't like none of that. I like to use the new vernacular that these young kids be using, but I don't like that.
Treesh done sucked me up. She was only good for the spits.
The spits, though.
That's crazy.
Ew.
That's
Y'all better
crazy.
use some good vocabulary out here. I don't like that.
I just learned today.
It's a shame if your name is 5
years
Treesh.
Old, and I just learned what a treesh is. And again, if y'all don't know,
new.
It's often used to identify a hoe.
A hoe.
Dinner scammers. You ever heard of this?
Dinner scammers?
Yeah.
And I think I know what you're talking about, but I don't know.
Go ahead. What you think it is? So
somebody like goes out to dinner and then they like act like something was wrong with their food so that they don't have to pay for it?
No, this is like women you got to be able to female persuasion who like go try to flirt with guys and go out and order up a bunch of food and ghost the guy. Just wanted dinner.
Oh, okay, yeah. I didn't know that's the avenue.
That's okay.
No, I've heard of that. I didn't know that's the avenue you were going to. Like, yeah, they just keep them like kind of in their Rolodex for when they want a meal or something. But I mean, to your point of saying ghost them, never hear from them.
How do we know that this is a thing and nobody's doing anything about this? Like, this is just okay. If guys were doing shit like this to women, it would be ridiculous.
They are. How many guys meet a girl to get some coochie and then ghost them?
No,
So she's getting him for a meal. He's getting her for her drawers.
I digress.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's been going on.
I digress.
Okay.
All right. I know when to shut up. Last Graham, what's your reaction to a Karen? What's your reaction to a Karen wanting to cut you in line, and when you didn't let her, she said you assaulted her and called the cops?
I probably would be going by the time the cops got there. Like, I'm not waiting around for that foolishness. No, she act like she wanted to, like, I would probably...
No, she tried to cut you in line, and you had to, like, no, you're not cutting me. And she said you assaulted her and called the cops.
I'm going to pay for my stuff and leave. I'm not waiting for the cops for that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not waiting for the cops. No, she act like she want to get physical, then it's different. But I'm not waiting for the cops to... You know what, officer... Watch on the Walmart camera, because that's where the Karen's big. Watching the Walmart camera, y'all make a determination. If y'all think I assaulted her, find me. But I'm not waiting around for that. Like, these Karens are out of control. And what I realized, well, this is my own Tasha logic.
What if it's a bad cop and he sees you like in the parking lot getting in your car and like slams you to the ground saying that you ran from the situation? Now, a decision you made got you on the ground with a knee in your back with handcuffs on, calling for Jamar.
I mean, that's going to be an escalated situation because
you didn't do shit to escalate. You thought, I just don't want to deal with this situation. I'm removing myself.
Yeah.
So you leave, and cop pulls up, and she's like, "Did she go and getting in her car?"
Now, if the cop asked me to stop, okay, I'm not going to like leave once the cop is there. But if like I got to sit around and wait 10, 15 minutes for a cop, no, I'm going. Look at the camera, look at my license plate, find me. Like, I'm not waiting around to explain to them she was trying to get in front of me. I just told her no, and she cried her white crocodile tears, and now here we are. I'm not even allowing myself to the extent that I can help it. I'm not allowing myself to even be a part of that equation. You deal with the cops when they get here. That's what you do. And I think for these Karens, so many of these videos that we see, and I've been thinking about this, it's kind of like a kid having a tantrum, because that's really what it is, a grown-ass lady having a tantrum. And just like a kid who has a tantrum, when you ignore them, eventually they realize they're not getting the reaction that they want, and they stop. Now, I'm not saying if anybody put their hands on you or spit on you, or even so far as some of the words that they say, because we're human. I ain't gonna be able to ignore that either. But the like passive aggressive
what if they threw
stuff.
Something at you? What if she threw
yeah, we having a problem.
Does it matter what she threw?
Anything you throw at me is disrespectful. I don't care if you threw a cotton ball at me. The fact that you threw something at me is disrespectful.
It's up.
It's up.
It's up.
Like, it's disrespectful. The fact that you threw something. Like, what you
got to do when you say it's up?
It's stuck. Like, you got to shut it down.
The ruckus got to get stuck.
Yeah. He wants me to go somewhere and start a ruckus. Like we're on Fight Club. He just wants me to go somewhere and start something.
I just think she should like add one thing to her bucket list.
Start a ruckus. It is on her bucket list.
Been in a fight before, and that's cool. Everybody ain't fighters.
Stop saying that.
She never was in a fight. That's a fact. I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way.
That. I don't like when you say it.
Why?
Because I don't.
Why?
I don't like when you say it.
Babe, it's okay.
No, it has an implication that...
It does not have an implication. It does not have no implication. What you always tell me, you're not a punk, right?
Go ahead.
Okay, so you don't have... Nothing. Let's do a wrap. Act 2 the podcast, episode 104, coming to a wrap. Catch us on act2thepodcast.com, Facebook, Instagram, all the other platforms out there except for Apple. So you can catch us on any of those platforms. Act 2 the podcast. If you fuck with us, you fuck with us. If you don't, you should. Peace.